So you want to know how to fill out the FAFSA and you want to see how fast it can be done? Well, this is the right channel for you. We're going to do a speed run through the FAFSA as quickly as we can. Now, I'm going to preface this because we have a very typical family, a very typical financial situation, a very typical everything. When you have exceptions to the rule, make sure that you spend a little more time and effort and figure out how to apply those circumstances to the FAFSA. They will ask you very distinct questions about that. You just have to fill it out honestly. But as we're speed running, I'm going to do it for my own personal cases. I'm going to show you step by step what items I did and what questions I answered. I'm not going to show you my answers, of course. I'm going to keep those a little bit private just for privacy's sake. But it's going to go really fast. If you want a more lengthy tutorial on all the different aspects of the FAFSA, let me know in the comments down below. But this is a speed run, and let's go into it as quickly as we can. So here we go. So this is the FAFSA. This is my actual account. I've logged in here. My name is Kevin. This is my actual account. So this is not a fake account. And what we're doing is we're going to fill out the start a new form 2026-2027 FAFSA form. Okay, so that's what that is. And as you logged in, you added all this extra information into the system. So I'm just going to assume that you've already done that and you've gotten to this place right here. And you can see that I'm at studentaid.gov/dashboard. That takes us to the FAFSA, Federal Student Aid, and it's part of the Department of Education. So here we go. So start a new form. So I am the parent of a child that's in college right now. So I'm going to click parent. And the student information, we have to enter in that information right there. First name, last name, date of birth, social security number, email address, confirm email address, and we're going to hit to continue. We can't continue unless all of it's filled out. I'm going to take a break right here, and I'm going to fill this out for my own personal information, and I'll be right back. So I filled that information out, then I hit continue. I've gotten to this page right here. So what is the FAFSA form? So this is telling us what this is about. I'm going to go fast through this just to see how fast we can get through this. Parent and spouse, how to invite, what to expect, start the FAFSA form. Okay, so I'm going to blur out this information about my student, my own personal student. I'm going to stop it here, fill this out, and then I'm going to come right back after I click continue. After clicking there, we're asked for the student state of residency. It's South Carolina for my case. Date of the student became a resident of South Carolina. I'm going to fill this in with the date of birth. Okay, so normally it's the date of birth if you stayed within the state. If you moved around to different states, this is where you have to add in the date that that person or that student moved to that location. Student personal circumstance. So look, so we're in step 1 now. So we've entered in all the information associated with that student and the name, the contact, the address, etc. Now they're going to ask us more information. Sometimes you need to collect this information from the people depending on the answers in this section. So we're going to hit continue. Current marital status, students marital status. You got to be careful because they're going to ask questions for the parent and then they're going to ask questions about the student, and they bounce back and forth a lot. So you got to be very careful as to what they are. In our case, it is single. Continue. When the student begins in 2025 school year, that will be their college grade level B. So they will be a sophomore for our particular case. But if this is the first time applying and your student will be in college in 2026, 2027, then it's first year or freshman. When your student in 2026, 2025 school year, will they already have had their first bachelor's degree? And the answer is typically no. If you have multiple degrees or going for multiple degrees, they will take down all the loans basically if you're going for a second degree. Student personal circumstance. I mean, basically, a lot of these are talking about independence of the child. So, are they part of a foster care system? Have they been part of the warded to the state, et cetera, et cetera? I'm going to click no. Student homelessness. At any time were they homeless? No. Students' unusual circumstances. So I'm going to say no here. Student dependency status. So direct unsubsidized loan only. Are your students' parents refusing to provide their information for the FAFSA? And the answer is no. Which is kind of weird because I'm filling out the parent section. I don't understand that, why that would be the case. They would have to ask the student that information. But we're going to hit continue. Provide consent and approval or student won't be eligible for financial aid. This is one of the most important questions on the financial aid. You should approve consent and approval, and we're going to hit approve. Basically, if you don't consent, you don't get any federal aid. So you gotta consent to this. Success. We've confirmed your information with the IRS. So basically, it's calling up the IRS, utilizing the Social Security numbers that are in your profile and your student's profile that you just entered. Parents' demographics. In our case, it is married and not separated. Date the parent became a resident of South Carolina. I'm going to put in 2004. Actually, I think it was 2004. Parents' finances, continue. And any time during 2024 or 2025. So look, they're looking at last year's numbers and this current year's numbers for a year in advance. So that you just got to keep that in mind when you're filling this out. Like anything you did this year or last year is going to count against this information. Most of the time, none of these are applied. This is like, were you on Medicaid, etc. Continue. Did you or your parents file 2024 joint tax returns in your with their current spouse? The answer is yes. Family size. Is the parent's family size different from the number of the individuals claimed on your 2024 tax return? No. Meaning, is there any discrepancies? Somebody's joined, etc. If so, say then. How many people in the parent's family will be in college between this time frame? 1. Parent 2024 tax return information. So I need to pause this, and I'm gonna enter this information, and then I will continue. And I think it'll ask for 2025, and then we'll continue. This is the next form: annual child support received. In our case, it's 0. Parent assets, current total cash, savings, and checking accounts. This is where they get into what your net value is. And so you got to fill this in correctly and accurately as best as you can. Parent spouse, based on this response, you need to know your spouse's date of birth. Okay, I'm going to enter that and I'll be right back. Then we go to continue to sign your form. So basically I've entered in all this information. We hit continue. I agree and I sign it. Now, notice the student section is not done. The parent section is done. The parent, spouse, or parent section is not fully complete because we don't have the student section. However, that's all it took to fill in the parent section of the FAFSA. It can be quick if you have that information available to you. So preload all that information. So I'm going to stop the clock here as to how long it took to get me through this, but I think it's around 10 minutes of time, which is not a lot if you know what you're looking for. If you know what you have, if you don't have your Social Security cards for your children down in a safe somewhere, this can take not a lot of time. If you gather all that information, your tax forms, your Social Security cards, your addresses, your emails, all that stuff, if you have that readily available, you can whip through this very quickly. Where it gets hard is when there's exceptions to the rules, and that means most likely you're going to get more financial aid than the average person. So make sure that you go deeper into those items as possible, because it's probably going to get you more financial aid. So if your child is not with you, they're a ward of the state or in foster care or whatever the case is, talk about that in your form, and most likely you'll get a little bit extra. This is not the end-all be-all. Remind you of that, because if there's a circumstance like you lost your job or whatever the case is, and your tax forms for the last 2 years that don't represent your current situation, you can appeal or you can ask for leniency from the school of choice and see what kind of financial aid they can give you based off the extra information that might be there or might be not represented based on these forms. So make sure you go do all that, because this is just money sitting on the table. And if you have the ability to pick it up, do so. Like, go grab that money. This is great free money, if you will. What we really don't want you to do, though, is stretch the truth. Fill this out as accurately as you possibly can. Don't forget that this is a federal document. If you fill this in incorrectly and you submit it, and then maybe the information bounces against the IRS flags you as a big problem, either you're going to get into tax problems or you're going to get into FAFSA problems. You don't want either one of those. So make sure that you fill it out as cleanly and as accurately as you possibly can. It's the best advice we got. But realistically, it's not that hard. Please just go do it, knock it out, make sure that your student does the student section, and everything's good. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe down below, and we'll see you next time, and be nice to your neighbor. Bye-bye. We'll see you.